Grafton Street. It's about 7 o'clock. I'm just on my way to the Abbey. We're going to go see Roddy Doyle's 2.5 Pints. Sounds like a barroom tale. A couple of guys about my age talking about life and whatever else over a couple of pints. It's a lovely evening. Fresh breeze. Buskers out. Buses out. Trams out. People out. See you in a second.
Sinead is in the pub across the road.
Is she? Well, I was in the pub further down the road.
Ah, look at you all.
Yeah, I know. How was your holiday?
There she is. It's really good, really good.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm alright. Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All set. Ready to go? I think we're on this side.
3 points.
One'll do, mate.
3 points is a binge.
Says who?
Fucking scientists again. And doctors. Heard it on the radio, some fucking survey.
That's fucking mad. So I'd need 3 points before I decide whether to go on a fucking binge or not. Think about it. Some poor fucker parks the car, goes in to get the tonsils out.
And ends up on a slab.
Nigella investigates.
Brilliant! Remember they did the Strictly Come Dancing up at the club to send the under 17 girls to Korea?
I do, yeah. Did they ever come back?
Some of them, yeah.
Exactly. I'm all about the well-delivered cunt, but like not just blasé. Like you have to throw it in. Like you do. I don't know. It's just
I'm very partial
I know you
to
are.
the word. Yeah, exactly. Myself and my brother have this thing where we're all about bringing cunts because it's the one word. No, but seriously, it's the one word that you're not allowed to say in the English language. And
Yes, a lot of people use it all the time.
yeah,
But never in anything other than an intimate environment where nobody that doesn't know them is watching. So what were your fellow theatre goers like? We had some guffaws in our
We had loads of guffaws. We thought after one interval that you hadn't been let out. It looked like you were trapped.
No, I was contemplating.
Or were you? It looked like the people to the side of you were contemplating and therefore you couldn't leave.
No, I think I was dozing as well.
Because the minute they mentioned Nigella, I was laughing. It's just Nigella is you. No. But there have been serious Nigella conversations in our house.
in that sense. Curious now.
Oh, she'll be on the list, the laminated list.
What list is this?
The list. The list.
You're not getting any of my omelets until you tell me what the list is.
The list is a reference to Friends where they have Ross produces a laminated list of people he agrees with Rachel that he's allowed shag if he ever meets them.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
That's the list.
That's a reasonable list, I think. Yeah.
I thought was interesting was the kind of the idea that they're a dying breed, the two guys who get to go to the pub and have a pint. I thought that was interesting. That generation is about to go, or that possibility of who gets to go to the pub. You know, like that, like it's part of your everyday, and it's So that struck me as something that we're looking at the last.
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah. You see, I mentioned authentic. God forbid it would be authentic. Just the average two guys sticking their knees in the pub who have 3 pints every night are not funny. they're boring. They go over the same conversation again and again and again. They're not
Mostly happy to see that.
but exactly, therefore it is not authentic. Therefore it is a romanticization of something.
Yeah.
And I think it is a huge romanticization of a dialect, of a culture, of a gender.
But even the bit where he texts his wife to ask her does she have tonsils, right? And you're going, that's lovely, because he refers to one woman he knows well. No one would do that. They'd ask Google. And they probably wouldn't even ask Google by typing it in. They'd ask, hey Siri. And it jumps. And it makes you think they've gone out of the conversation, whereas he goes to his wife. You're like,
yeah. But I take your point, but in fairness, those two characters, at the age they are, and not the cultural age they are, the fact that he's texting his wife.
Yeah.
Rather than making a note with a stubby pencil in the back of a betting slip to ask her when he goes home. That's his technological achievement, that he can text his wife.
And he's got Paddy Power to thank for that.
Yeah.
That's the gift of Paddy Power to that generation. I felt like it was a summary of all of the best bits that you would have in a conversation with somebody over a year.
Yeah. Exactly what it was.
And if you were to summarize it, because it's not that funny in general. I do think it represents something that's disappearing. And as a way to capture discourse, it was very good. Because that's, I know people that are much older who talk like that and laugh like that all the time, but it's disappearing. And it will be gone. And you will wonder, well, what was it like?
Yeah.
And that for me doesn't capture fully, but it does capture the type of conversation people had.
Why I'm curious, and this is a genuine question, is why is it disappearing?
Because I guess I can only speak from my own experience. From a generational perspective, I wouldn't dream of thinking, not of mine, having the kind of conversation that those guys have. Because it's not interesting, for a start.
Okay.
And because we were brought up probably with a different set of values, which those guys clearly had a view of themselves as men, having a dominant view of everything in general that suits themselves. And that I don't recognize. And I certainly don't want my 14-year-old to ever think that matters at all. So, but it definitely does exist. But the other thing is that the inherent kindness of the men shone through, irrespective of their views and of their language, which, depending on your sensitivity, you might have found abhorrent, misogynistic, sexist, but they were very kind people. And that's what saved it for me, was their intrinsic kindnesses as men. Because otherwise it would have been just a lot of nonsense. So I think that saved it for me, but that's why I think the difference exists. I'm sure it does exist in my generation and younger, but it's not something I recognize as that I would have a conversation like that. I'd listen to it. Sometimes I'd laugh at some of it because I'm like, you can't say that shit. You just can't. And somebody will go, why the fuck not? Do you know? And you're like, are you serious?
Who was the bald-headed character? And he was talking about his first wife. He said, "Oh, you didn't have a first wife. Oh, but if you had a first wife, what would she be like?" Right? And I was just thinking that the layers of fiction in that, and I was thinking.
Of like, let's have a nice chat now about what that potentially might be like.
Yeah.
I'm willing to listen to you, so I don't know that for a while.
But the modes of discourse that were, so what I was thinking, the modes of discourse that we're allowed to engage in online, they're so, everything online is so liberal, and it seems to me that the only trope you are able to use online is sarcasm, right? And it just, I was thinking, okay, I'm watching the play about two men talking about his father's illness and death, and yet they're telling a story about an agreed false premise, and yet we not only do we understand it, but we can see the truth in what they're expressing, even though everything that they're expressing is false. And in a world in which everything, the world that I'm describing, the digital world, is typified by digital intermediaries between human communication. That level of falsehood is either regarded with suspicion, or it's used to attack people.
I love that. So,
And I mean, even if you're designing things, right? You always design things with a presumption that there is an intent, there is a demonstrable or identifiable intent of the customer, of the user. Yeah, that they mean that there's somehow that you can get to the meaning of what they want to achieve or what they want to say. And yet this dialogue, which was really, I thought, one of the most engaging little vignettes of the whole thing, violated all of that. And you're talking, we're all talking about disappearing worlds, disappearing settings, disappearing relationships, disappearing habits. Maybe there's a disappearing approach to dialogue.
and maybe that's the problem with the digital world, is that it lives forever. Like they talked about death of the individual, you can have a death of the relationship, you can have a death of the conversation that's no longer relevant, but it passes.
Yeah.
Whereas in the digital world, that doesn't happen. I think it was a recurring theme to you tonight, was the normality of death in the life process. And as you move from the analog to the digital world, that's something we intrinsically believe for anyone. That conversations die. You may have a memory of a great conversation, a great experience. Once it moves to the digital world, it loses its mystery because it's there forever. And so, storytelling about all those events are just things that people read.
Whereas what I've been interested in for the last year or so is how to translate that into kind of physical experience. So there's a different kind of storytelling that happens when you physically experience it. So going into the limestone vagina,
touching thing.
it's a very different, it's kind of an immersive thing that's completely different from having portrayed in words. And this is where I'm kind of, that can't be, I'm wondering how that should be replicated digitally.
Wow.
Like, that is so hard.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to digitize your experience of the senses.
And not everyone's senses are the same.
I think you can digitize hyper-local experiences. So what I mean by that is, or what I think I mean by that is, you will get to tonight's play that may be relevant to a radius of 5 miles. And you will get 1,000 of them in Ireland that each have the same impact, but are completely meaningless to somebody 20 miles away, potentially. You could probably digitize it for a locality, but I don't think you could digitize it as a person at this point.
Let me suggest this to you. One, so John was saying was that, and partly through casting, we had these two actors, right? So we got to know about men's relationship, but we got to know it through learning about these two men. two different actors would give us the story of two different men, and yet through this specific instance of two men, we got a sense of something more general.
Which is, in your view?
Well, which is the relationship between two middle-aged men. But as John was saying, you know, you could have had somebody that just came across as slightly meaner,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And digital technologies work in completely the opposite way. Like in my work as an analyst, one of the things I'm primarily trying to do is I'm trying to abstract out the individual, create a pattern of behavior, and then try and get people to conform to that pattern of behavior that makes them feel like it's actually specific to them.